Following Hezbollah's attacks on Golan Heights, an all-out war could be brewing in West Asia. Israel's security cabinet has authorized Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to decide on the manner and timing for retaliation. According to reports, Hezbollah is on high alert and has cleared some key sites in both Lebanon's south and eastern Bekaa Valley in case of an Israeli attack. Any conflict could bring an Iran which warned Israel that a strong reaction would lead to unprecedented consequences. The Israeli Defense Forces launched a series of air attacks on the Burej and Nusayrat refugee camps in Gaza, hours after ordering Palestinians to evacuate. According to the United Nations Relief and Work Agency, or UNRWA, 86% of the Gaza Strip is currently under such orders. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has evacuated patients and those injured from the Gaza Strip for treatment. Several airlines have cancelled or delayed their flights to Beirut airport in the anticipation of an Israeli strike for the Delhi Golan Heights attack. As per reports, the cancellations were related to insurance risks and escalating tensions between Israel and Hezbollah. Meanwhile, Lufthansa said it had suspended 5 routes to and from Beirut up to July 30th in an abundance of caution. Beirut Airport's Flight Information Board also showed Turkish Airlines cancelling 2 flights overnight on Sunday. Beirut Rafik Hariri International Airport is Lebanon's only airport, which was also targeted by Israel in 2006. Turkey has warned of an invasion into Israel. Now, this comes after President Erdogan said it might enter Israel to help Palestinians as it had done in the past in Libya and Nagorno-Karabakh. However, Erdogan did not spell out what sort of intervention he was suggesting. Meanwhile, Israel's Foreign Minister Israel Katz has hit back at the threat by comparing it to that of Iraq's former president, late Saddam Hussein. Foreign ministers from the countries of India, Australia, Japan and United States are currently in Tokyo attending a meeting for Quad. Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar gave his opening remarks saying that these are not easy times and terming this new era as one of re-globalization. At a press address directly following the Quad foreign ministers meet, Jaishankar mentioned that the Security Forum now serves as an expansive agenda, stating that Quad was now deeply and systemically embedded in each nation's foreign policy. Of course, of note was the announcement that a space-based climate warning system will be soon launched, and it will be launched from Mauritius as part of Quad cooperation. Ahead of the Quad dialogue, Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held a bilateral talk with US State Secretary Antony Blinken. According to reports, the key topics discussed in the bilateral between India and US included the deteriorating situation in West Asia and the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. This comes ahead of a planned visit by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Ukraine next month. Japanese Defense Minister Minoru Kihara held trilateral talks with his US and South Korean counterparts. The three signed a treaty to enhance security ties between the three countries. The meeting was the first ever to be held in Tokyo. The meeting also comes following a military pact that was recently signed between Russia and North Korea. Washington also wants to tap Japanese industry to help ease pressure on US defense companies stretched by demand generated by conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East. Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned the United States against deploying long-range missiles in Germany. He said that the move would invite a tit-for-tat deployment of similar missiles at striking distance of the West. Putin also accused the United States of stoking tensions by supplying missiles to Denmark and Philippines, comparing the escalating situation with Cold War. Pakistan's Tehreek-e-Insaf party is set to hold country-wide protests demanding release of Imran Khan. PTI announced that the protests are also meant to force the government to provide relief for inflation-broken masses. The former ruling party has been calling for Imran's release, who has been behind bars for over a year. PTI chief was arrested from Lahore on August 5th when a court sentenced him to 3 years of prison for illegal sale of state gifts. Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, has signed a 3-year action plan on her first official visit to Beijing. The announcement by Meloni came during a meeting with Chinese Premier Li Qiang. This marks a significant shift in Italy's trade preferences with China after it exited China's Belt and Road Initiative last year. Italy's Prime Minister said that her 5-day trip to Beijing would relaunch the bilateral cooperation between the two countries. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has won general elections in the country. Venezuela's election authority declared that Maduro had secured 51% of the votes, while opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez won 44% of the votes, with 80% of ballot boxes counted. The results come as multiple exit polls pointed at an opposition victory. Earlier, opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez had reiterated a call for the country's military to uphold the results. With the United States elections less than 100 days away from being decided for a new president, both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris came with renewed attacks at weekend campaign events around the country. Vice President Harris referred to Trump as weird, while former President Trump referred to Harris as evil, sick and unhinged. Further, Harris' entry has erased the lead that Trump enjoyed over Biden for several months. According to a Wall Street Journal poll, the former president has a 2 percentage point lead over Harris, standing at 49% to 47%. After Vice President Kamala Harris became the Democratic Party's presidential candidate, the Blue Camp is back on track. Harris' election campaign has said that it has raised $200 million since she became the Democratic Party's presidential candidate. To add on, they have signed up 170,000 new volunteers in the week. This comes as an indication that Harris has made strides for Democrats, reinforcing belief in Biden's historic decision. With less than 100 days to go for the US elections, reports say that US President Joe Biden could announce plans to reform the Supreme Court of the US. He is also expected to seek a constitutional amendment to limit immunity for presidents and some other office holders. Now, this follows a July Supreme Court ruling that said presidents have broad immunity from prosecution. Reports suggest that Biden is expected to make the announcement in Texas on Monday, and the specific proposals could change. Conflicting signals from major nations have rocked markets recently, leaving investors anxious for clarity over the direction of global monetary policy. Traders are unsure of when and by how much the Bank of Japan, the Federal Reserve and the Bank of England would cut interest rates. These major central banks are slated to meet in Tokyo and Washington on Wednesday and London on Thursday. Concerns about the future of policy and economic growth sent tremors through several markets at the close of trade last week. Donald Trump's cowboy and superhero non-fungible tokens led him down the digital asset rabbit hole. After rising to prominence as an advocate for cryptocurrency, powerful figures in the sector are forming a queue to have him re-elected as president. Even though it was officially a Bitcoin conference, it seemed more like a Trump rally. Trump pledged to support the crypto industry and undo the current administration's security, including firing Secretary Chief Gary Gensler. A recent Bloomberg Markets Live Pulse poll shows the most prudent investment would be in gold if Donald Trump were to win the presidency again. Of the 480 people surveyed, gold bets outnumbered those who chose the US dollar as their safe haven asset in the event of Trump's re-election. A little over 60% of participants think the dollar would weaken in the long run if the Republican candidate is re-elected. Long odds and history are in their favor through Trump's 4 years in power previously. A dollar index fell by over 10%, while the price of gold surged by over 50%. Stock fell more than 12%, the worst it has in 3 years. This comes after European drug regulators rejected an Alzheimer's treatment that Eisai and Biogen had developed together. The decision potentially hurts their worldwide sales expansion plans. The European Medicines Agency raised concerns about safety, such as adverse effects involving swelling and possible brain bleeding. Given the widespread expectation of EU approval, analysts at Jefferies noted that this is a very big negative surprise. Long-term economic prospects as well as political aspirations for the three governing parties under Chancellor Olaf Scholz are being dampened by Germany's failure to produce substantial growth. Once seen as Europe's engine of growth, the country is now becoming more like a dead weight. Last week, a report showed a drop in business confidence, and Tuesday's data is likely to show that GDP hardly increased in the June quarter. Germany's economy has stagnated under Scholz. Wildfires across California have deteriorated the air quality in the region. Millions have been put under air quality alerts. The park fires have so far scorched an area of over 1,400 kilometers of Northern California, which is greater than the state of Los Angeles itself. However, firefighters battling the intense blaze made some progress in containing the intensity of the fire this past weekend. About 5,000 people were left isolated in North Korea after torrential downpour left the Sinuiju and surrounding areas completely inundated with floods. According to reports, the North Korean military have arranged 10 aircraft to rescue around 4,000 people in 20 trips. Meanwhile, North Korean Supremo Kim Jong-un went on an inspection and has praised the army's efforts in the rescue operations. He has also criticized officials over the lack of immediate response to the crisis. ChatGPT maker OpenAI is testing an artificial intelligence-powered search engine called SearchGPT. The company is hoping to give tough competition to Alphabet's Google Chrome, one of the leading search engines at the moment. Using AI, SearchGPT will look for relevant answers from the internet. It will also allow users to ask follow-up questions. The feature is currently in the testing phase. ChatGPT is expected to soon release the feature for everyone. Social media platforms and internet messaging services that have more than 8 million users in Malaysia need to apply for a compulsory social media license in the country. Starting 1st of August, the move is an attempt to combat increasing cyber offences. If social media services fail to apply for a license by January 5th, 2025, then legal action will be taken against them. Earlier this year, Malaysia reported a sharp increase in harmful social media content. It even urged social media firms, including Facebook parent Meta and short video platform TikTok, to step up monitoring on their platforms. The US Justice Department has accused TikTok of collecting user information and users' views on abortion and gun control without their consent. It is believed that TikTok and its Beijing-based parent company ByteDance used an internal websuit system called LARK to send sensitive data about US users to ByteDance engineers in China. According to federal officials, the information has been stored on Chinese servers and is accessible to ByteDance employees in China. If you think e-cigarettes and vaping are safe, well, think again and look again. Health and child rights experts have raised alarms about the increasing portrayal of e-cigarettes and vapes as healthier alternatives to traditional tobacco products. They have cautioned that this misleading narrative is a strategic attempt by the industry to target and trap the young population, particularly those aged between 10 and 19. They also added that smoking e-cigarettes and vapes can be as dangerous as tobacco and drugs.